You know those things you do every day without even thinking about them? Why do we do them? What's the hidden programming that's running our lives? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible science behind our habits, all based on the amazing work of Charles Duhigg.
All right, let's just dive right in with a real-life story that sounds almost impossible. Meet Lisa Allen. On the left, you see her life at 34. She was obese, had been smoking and drinking since she was a teenager, and was buried in debt. Now look at the right. Just 4 years later, she's run a marathon, lost 60 pounds, and bought a house. It's a complete 180.
So you gotta ask, right? How does that even happen? How does someone totally transform their life like that? Well, the secret wasn't some huge, complicated plan to change everything at once. Nope. It all started with changing just one thing.
The whole thing really kicked off during a trip to Cairo. Lisa was going through a tough time, and she found herself in a hotel room feeling like she had completely hit rock bottom. And in that moment of feeling totally out of control, she made a promise to herself. She would focus on changing one single thing she knew she could control. And this is where it gets really cool. That one little decision set off an incredible chain reaction. She decided she wanted to trek across the desert, and to do that, she had to quit smoking. So she replaced her smoking habit with jogging. But then, the jogging started to ripple out. She started eating better, sleeping better, and being more productive at work. It was like a set of dominoes, one good habit just knocking over the next.
So what Lisa had accidentally discovered is something scientists call a keystone habit. Think of it like the main domino in the line, the one core habit that when you change it, it starts this cascade of other positive changes. It's the one that really matters because it makes all the other good habits so much easier to build.
You can bet scientists were fascinated by Lisa's story. For them, she was like a living, breathing case study. A researcher even told her, "You're helping us understand how a decision becomes an automatic behavior." She wasn't just using willpower. She was literally rewiring her own brain.
And this is the mind-blowing part. They actually scanned her brain, and what they found was amazing. The old pathways in her brain, the ones for cravings and bad habits, they were still there. They hadn't disappeared. But she had built new pathways for self-discipline that had grown so strong they could just override the old ones. See, she didn't erase her bad habits, she built better ones right on top of them.
Okay, so this Keystone habit idea, it's not just for individuals trying to eat healthier or go to the gym. This same exact principle scales up, way up. It applies to huge corporations and even entire social movements.
Let me give you a completely different kind of example. Picture this, Kufa, Iraq. A U.S. Army major is dealing with riots that break out in the city plaza like clockwork. But instead of just reacting with force, he did something really smart. He decided to analyze the crowd's habits.
He noticed a pattern. First, a small crowd gathers. Then, over a few hours, spectators show up, and so do the food vendors. That's when things would usually turn violent. So his intervention was brilliantly simple. He just asked the mayor to keep the food vendors out of the plaza. And guess what? The crowd would get hungry, they'd get restless, and they'd just go home. He broke the riot habit before it could even fully form.
And once you know what to look for, you see this principle absolutely everywhere. It's how Procter & Gamble finally figured out how to sell Febreze. It's why Starbucks trains its employees in the Keystone habit of willpower. It's how the aluminum company Alcoa became a top performer by focusing on one thing: worker safety. You can even see the patterns of social habits at play in the success of the civil rights movement.
All right, let's bring this all back home, to you. Think about this morning, for real. When you woke up, what was the very first thing you did? Did you check your phone? Brush your teeth? Did you consciously decide to do it, or did it just kind of happen?
The reason it probably just happened is because of this number, 40%.
Yep. A study from Duke University found that more than 40% of the actions you take every single day aren't actual conscious decisions. They're habits. Just let that sink in for a second. Almost half of your day is running on autopilot.
But here is the most powerful, most important takeaway from all of this. Every single one of those automatic habits, the good and the bad, started out as a choice that we made over and over until it became automatic. And that means we have the power to make a new choice. Our habits aren't our destiny. They can be changed, they can be redesigned. Which brings us to one final, powerful question for you to think about. Knowing everything we've just talked about, knowing that one single change can set off a positive chain reaction in your life, if you could change just one Keystone habit, what would you choose?